winter's doubt. The ancient stone corridors of the seminary echo with each step, the cold of winter seeping into my bones, mirroring my own uncertainty. Doubt, like a creeping vine, has wound its way through my studies. I push open the chapel's heavy door, its complaint a groan in the silence, stepping into the dim light cast by a single flickering lamp before the altar. The flame dances stubbornly against the surrounding gloom, a beacon of hope amidst shadows. Its glow creates a sacred space, a bridge across my chasm of doubt. I sink into a pew, hands clasped in prayer, seeking warmth from the Lord of mercy. Why am I here? I whisper into the stillness, my words absorbed by the ancient walls. Do I belong in your service? Father Simeon, the ancient priest, sits silently near the altar, his presence a comforting constant, eyes closed. Hands resting, he offers no words, yet his silence speaks, urging my heart to lay its burdens before God. Listen in silence as I close my eyes. Listen beyond my turmoil, shepherd of my soul. I plead internally, guide me, for I feel lost. The silence stretches, broken only by the chapel's soft creaks and my shifting, searching for comfort in this hush. Father Simeon rises, lights another candle at the altar. The new flame, a small victory over shadows, emits a glow that softens my doubt. The scent of melting wax mingles with the cold, reminding me of light's power. A whisper nudges my heart to the good that is near. As the day's warm earth stirs under a thawing sun, green buds poke through the snow. Awakening hope within me, I seek quiet seminary corners, places that listen while I pray for courage to embrace nearby good. The gardens long dormant, awaking vibrant colors hinting at creation's beauty. One morning, I kneel in the chapel, sunlight streaming through stained glass windows. Colors dance across the stone, tracing paths of grace. Bowing my head, I breathe in fragrant incense. Holy One, I pray, warmth spreading through me. Grant me strength to do your will and grace to accept your guidance. Renewed, I rise, God's whisper resonating within. I immerse myself in the seminary's community projects, feeding the hungry, teaching children, visiting the sick among the disadvantaged. I see the flickering lamp of hope in their eyes. My doubts transform into resolve, fortified by kindness and shared warmth. kitchens and classrooms, comfort comes from smiles and stories of those served. Their gratitude a balm, a child's eyes light up with understanding. A thankful hand squeezed for a meal. Each moment stitches a new garment of purpose around me. Father Simeon watches, a knowing smile playing on his lips, his silence a testament to prayer's power. I recognize these acts, these modest paths, as divine opportunities illuminated by God's enduring light. Shepherd of my to embrace your presence. Show me your light in every shadow, your will in every moment. May I walk your path with courage and grace. Amen. standing firm in the silent valley. Act I, the midnight sanctuary. The cathedral loomed under winter sky, silhouetted against dim starlight. Its stones echoed centuries of prayers as I stepped inside. Its enormity embraced me, a humble janitor seeking solace. The heavy doors creaked, their sounds swallowed by the sacred silence inside. This silence was alive, filled with echoes of hymns resting in its arches. Candlelight flickered, casting gentle shadows, flames bowing in eternal reverence. The mop water sloshed with each stroke, a rhythmic chant resonating off cold stone floors. Every stroke formed part of a nightly litany under the vast holy ceiling. The organ, a giant of pipes and keys, hummed in anticipation. Its purr filling the sacred space with warmth alone in this sanctified silence. My soul ached for belonging, like a solitary note yearning for a symphony. I approached the altar, the marble cold through my worn jeans, kneel, and I felt history's weight alongside my own burdens. Lord of mercy, I whispered, a fragile thread in the vastness. In this enormity I feel small. Guide me to where I am meant to belong. My plea joined a tapestry of prayers, petitions rising to heaven from this hallowed ground. The tide, the winter wind, found passage through stained glass, sending a shiver down my spine. Light painted the floor with sapphire and crimson hues, a mosaic of divine stories. Yet loneliness crept in, a tidal wave threatening to engulf me. My heart trembled under its weight, despair casting long shadows on my spirit. Shepherd of my soul, I pray, words bridging chasms of silence. I am lost in life's myriad corners, each path uncertain. I need your guidance, your unwavering light. Hold me steady in this valley, don't let me slip into shadows. My voice felt small against the vastness, a lone sparrow's song in the storm. The silence was profound, vast enough to swallow my plea. But then, like a whisper, a faint rustling stirred, an indoor breeze dancing in stillness. I listened, straining to hear beyond my fears, seeking his voice in solitude. The wind carried a sacred message, a gentle assurance that my cries were heard. A gentle nudging, in silence resolve took root, growing with each mop stroke. The rhythm of work became a heartbeat, steady, insistent here, In the mundane, the holy ones whispered dwelled, not in grand gestures, but in simple steadiness. The call was to embrace my post with faith, finding divine presence in daily acts of devotion. The next night, the sanctuary felt like a canvas painted by the divine. My hands, once trembling, steadied as they cleaned the altar. Each motion became worship, each breath a silent hymn. The organ played softly, a hymn wrapping me like a warm shawl against winter's chill. I paused, heart open to a prayer of surrender. Lord of mercy, I spoke with gentle courage. Your call is not to change my place, but to transform my heart here. I will trust the path you lay before me, however humble. Peace descended, a sacred touch affirming my place and purpose. History's weight became an embrace, whispering, you are home. First light of belonging, dawn spilled through stained glass, colors dancing across pews as if walls rejoiced in resurrection. As my shift ended, early worshippers' footsteps resonated, merging with the organ's melody, filling space with life and hope anew. Sunlight wove through air, heralding a new beginning. The promised spring amid winter's heart. Each entering face reflected my journey. Seekers in search of quiet grace, I realized I belonged here. With each mop sweep and whispered prayer, a sanctuary crafted by the Holy One who heard my plea and taught me to stand firm. The city in rain. The rain begins at dusk, a gentle cascade transforming the city into a canvas of blurred neon and glistening streets. Droplets trace down shop windows and park benches. Casting a shimmering haze against the skyline, I stand at the bus stop, my umbrella useless against the relentless wind. My soaked coat clings to me, a second skin as the city hums its constant dialogue. Cars splashing by, footsteps tapping briskly against pavements. An urban orchestra streetlights flicker on, casting pools of warm light on the rain-splattered pavement. Each drop kissing the ground reminds me of an old psalm, create in me a clean heart, oh God. Tonight my heart feels far from clean. An argument with Sarah replays in my mind. Wounds still raw, words exchanged were sharp and unyielding, things that shouldn't have been uttered lost. Like rain-dusted neon signs reflected off wet asphalt, I search for solace. Looking upward, I search the rain for divine solace. With a shaky breath I pray, Lord of mercy, my words swallowed by the rain's patter. I'm tired of running from myself. My breath mingles with the misty night air. A longing sent toward the heavens I listen, hoping for a voice larger than my chaos, a divine whisper amid the storm. The rain feels like gentle nudges, a promise of redemption. Remembered steps. The bus hisses by on drenched streets, but I let it pass. Walking seems easier, each step resonating with my fractured spirit. The rain is my companion. Weaving through my tangled thoughts, I find myself past old brownstones. Witnesses to countless stories, their windows glowing with warmth unknowingly. I drift to a familiar stairwell, where Sarah and I first shared our lives. A stairwell now cracked, weary like an old heart. Standing there, a memory surfaces our unburdened laughter. When love was a simple truth, rain-soaked in a drift. I savor the bittersweetness, I close my eyes, leaning against the cold railing, Holy One. I don't have the words, I confess, voice trembling. But I'm listening. Are you calling me back? The wind carries a reply, not in words, but in the peace unfurling within me. Sacred and unexpected, it wraps me in an embrace, a whisper in the rain's breath. There's newfound strength and urge to mend what is broken. One thread at a time, my steps quicken, each footfall echoing with determination. The decision crystallizes with surprising clarity. Like dawn breaking, I hurry towards Sarah's building, footsteps light and eager. Her window glows orange, a beacon amidst the storm. It's a simple act, climbing her stairs yet monumental, scaling the heights of pride and fear. Each stair creaks, both familiar and daunting, as I ascend toward a moment fragile and transformative. I knock, uncertain yet resolute. She opens the door. Silence is swept away by the unspoken forgiveness in her eyes. I'm sorry, I begin, words flowing effortlessly, a confession and commitment. I want to wear the ring of return, to find my way back to us. She nods, a subtle smile breaking the tension. It feels like grace, a moment of redemption. Her hand finds mine, grounding me in renewed purpose and belonging. In that gentle touch lies a silent prayer, surrendering to what can be mended. We sit entwined, silence now a bridge. Not a barrier, I understand. Reconciliation is a journey. Her prayer lived step by step. Her presence is a testament to enduring love that chooses to rebuild. The city dances with rain, but I am anchored in the light of new beginnings. The room glows softly, shadows waltzing gently across walls. I feel God's presence, guiding us with gentle nudges, steering us to safe shores. We pray, sealing the promise of reconciliation. Guide us, Lord, in peace. May we reflect your love. Her voice melds with mine in symphony, our melody rising upward like sacred fire's tendrils. Voices once drowned by discord now harmonize in hopeful serenade.
Shepherd of our souls, guide us in every step we take. May your peace fill our
ใจ
The flickering flame. The seminary chapel was steeped in a profound stillness, a sacred hush that seemed capable of quieting even the faintest of whispers. The air was dense with the fragrance of melted wax, the candles standing vigilant like guardian angels along the ancient stone aisle. I sat in a solitary pew, nestled in the embrace of time-worn wood, my hands restless upon the familiar fabric of a well-thumbed Bible inside me. A turbulent storm of unanswered questions brewed, heavy and relentless. The theological pursuits that once ignited my passions seem now to trail into the shadows of doubt, echoing back without solace. Father Benedict's serene presence had always been a balm to my tumult. He knelt beside me, eyes gently closed, sculpting his face into a mask of peace as his lips moved in an inaudible dialogue with the divine. The chapel lamp flickered above, casting gentle, dancing shadows upon the walls, a tender reminder of God's eternal light, one I longed to feel but could only observe from afar. Inside, a chasm widened under the weight of uncertainty, and from its depths emerged a single desperate plea. Lord, are you truly here?
The days rolled by like countless grains of sand through an hourglass, an endless river of time that felt stagnant, heavy with the cloak of silence that hung over me. Doubt clung to my every move, casting its unyielding shadow upon each step I took. One evening, cloaked in the solitude of dusk, I found Father Benedict alone in the chapel, his figure silhouette against the muted glow of the altar. The marble floor was chill beneath me as I approached, its coldness seeping through my soul, anchoring me in the present moment.
Father, my voice quivered as it cut through the silence, barely above a whisper. I can't seem to hear God anymore. Father Benedict's silence was profound, a deep enveloping well that drew me further into its depths. At long last he spoke, his voice a quiet, steady resonance that seemed to vibrate through the very air. Listen not for answers, but for transformation, he advised, his eyes locking onto mine with a compassion that bordered on the divine. Allow the silence to reveal what must change. His words fell upon me with the weight and clarity of truth, a mantle both heavy and liberating. A realization unfurled within me, intricately woven with threads of guilt and hesitation. I had held my doubts so closely, like an old tattered cloak, that I had left no room for God's voice to penetrate. That night, within the sanctuary of my room, I found myself kneeling beside my bed. The floorboards creaking softly beneath my weight, moonlight spilled through the window, splaying across the floor like liquid grace. The night air sharp and brisk against the lingering warmth of the day. My hands clasped together, fingers entwined and trembling slightly. I began to pray. Lord of mercy, I am lost in my own understanding. Help me to see you, to feel your presence.
Tears tears traced a path down my face, each drop carrying with it the weight of my struggle and yearning around me. The silence morphed, growing deeper, enfolding me in a sacred stillness that felt alive. A gentle stirring brushed through my spirit, a whisper from the divine. Let go.
In that moment, clarity dawned. It was not about dissecting my doubts, but releasing them, creating space for faith to breathe anew. I inhaled deeply, the crisp scent of the approaching night mingling with the lingering memory of candle wax, now a comforting presence, rather than a reminder of my distance from God. The next morning arrived with the sun's rays breaking through my window, flooding my room with their gentle golden light, returning to the chapel. The air remained still, its peace a soothing balm to my weary soul. I knelt before the altar not to seek answers, but for something far more profound. Courage, Holy One, I surrender my fears to you. Guide me, transform me, make me new. Within I felt a profound shift, a lightness replacing the burden I had so long carried. The chapel's warmth seemed to permeate my being, stitching together the fragmented pieces of my soul. Rising from the pew, my footsteps echoed softly, a gentle symphony, as I stepped into the light streaming through the stained glass, vibrant with promise. Outside, I found Father Benedict in the garden, tending to the earth with quiet reverence. In silence, he handed me a small cross, the cool metal pressing into my palm with the weight of a promise. I understood this gesture, a reminder of the transformation that comes through surrender
And faith.
The sun bid farewell to the day, its last rays streaking across the sky in a tapestry of deep orange and pink. Pink as I made my way back to the firehouse, my jacket stained with smoke and sweat clung to my skin, a harsh, acrid scent, serving as a constant reminder of the inferno we had battled just hours earlier. The image of the blazing house was seared into my memory, lingering like the smoldering ashes that we left behind. As I walked amidst the remnants of the scene, a child's drawing caught my attention, fluttering onto the scorched path, a depiction of a house with a smiling sun, warm and vibrant, a stark contrast to the charred devastation all around. Bending down to retrieve the innocent picture, my chest tightened. The family had escaped, yes, but I couldn't shake the feeling of failure, as if I had let them down. The vivid imagery of their home reduced to ashes haunted me, whispering incessantly of my inadequacy, the weight of survivor's guilt pressed down, an unforgiving burden that threatened to crush me. I retreated to my cot, seeking solace in the familiar creak of the bed. as a cradle for my weary spirit, as quiet enveloped me. I shut my eyes and whispered into the stillness, Lord of mercy, I began, my voice cracking under the strain of the day. Help me to forgive myself, for I am drowning in guilt. Show me the way to peace, for I cannot find it alone. My words lingered in the air, a fragile plea cast into the vast unknown, hoping for a divine response. The night unfolded, its shadows deepening and weaving through the slits in the blinds like silent phantoms. Sleep eluded me, my mind transformed into a battlefield of relentless what-ifs and ghosts of flames past. The rhythmic hum of the city beyond echoed in the background, life moving forward while I remained trapped, suspended in a self-imposed purgatory. The echo of the fire crackled incessantly in my mind, a relentless reminder of what might have been. In the quiet moments before dawn, I rose and paced the narrow corridor of the station, each step echoing like a heartbeat of its own against the sterile walls. The cool linoleum felt solid underfoot, a grounding force amidst the turmoil swirling within. Somewhere amid the despair, a stirring began, a whisper barely audible, urging me to move beyond guilt, to seek redemption amidst the embers of sorrow. Holy One, I prayed, leaning against the cool wall, my forehead resting gently on its surface. I am tired of carrying this pain. I wish to see the beauty beyond the ashes. Guide me to release this burden. A single tear traced a path down my cheek, a silent testament to the inner turmoil. A warmth enveloped me, an almost imperceptible shift, as if God had brushed his hand over my heart, imparting courage to seek the light. The child's drawing, vibrant and hopeful, flashed in my mind, a promise of life rebuilt, a beacon of hope that resists shadows. The cells total with life, a mix of chaos and quiet perseverance. The mother's eyes, weary yet kind, bore traces of sleepless nights. Her hands trembled as they took mine in gratitude, a silent exchange of strength and vulnerability. In her resilience, in the laughter of her children, their innocence untouched, I found the healing I sought. I shared the child's drawing with her, and as we talked, the memories began weaving their way toward healing, each word a thread mending the tapestry of shattered lives. In reaching out, the chains of guilt loosened, the icy grip of self-doubt melting in the light of compassion. Through God's silent guidance, it became clear that beauty can indeed rise from the ashes, if only we dare to look and see with eyes unclouded by our own despair. Shepherd The trail slip behind the rugged mountains, leaving the sky a canvas of gold and crimson. Before shadows cloak the winding road, my old truck, a relic of simpler times, sputtered to a halt on the gravel shoulder. Through the window, the last colors of the day melted into night. The letter in my coat pocket felt heavy, a secret kept too long, a confession to my father that fear and regret had held captive. Stepping into the evening chill, the air scented with pine and earth, my feet found a trail up the hillside. Each step echoed the distance I felt from those I loved. Lord of mercy, I whispered, I'm lost. Do I send this letter? Let silence swallow it. The wind rustled the trees, whispering back assurance, a gentle touch to my troubled soul. The echo of prayer. The trail led higher into the wilderness until I reached a rocky outcrop under a starlit sky. The stars scattered like jewels cast a silvery glow. I knelt, the stones biting into my knees, and opened my heart in raw, unfiltered prayer. Holy One, I breathed, I fear rejection. Grant me the courage to reconcile. A warmth unfurled within, the whisper of God's presence, kindling like a flame in this sacred silence. I could almost see my father's face, aged yet softened by love. It became clear I must reach out and let go of secrets to unburden my heart. A resolution formed, urging me forward like a shepherd, guiding a lost sheep. A call across the distance, the descent to my truck was deliberate. Each step measured by newfound courage. The chill hung on my limbs, but inside was a flicker of hope. I slid into the driver's seat and retrieved my phone. The letter could wait, I needed his voice. Trembling fingers dialed his number, each ring an echo of my anxious heartbeat. When he answered, his voice was a mix of surprise and warm sun. I took a deep breath, drawing courage from the very air. Father, I began, my voice growing stronger with each word. I'm sorry, I wanna come home, if you'll have me. Silence hung briefly, then his response came, soft and sure. The doors have always been open, my son. As we spoke, words of forgiveness and understanding flowed freely. The burden of hidden words melted away, replaced by a lightness like dawn chasing part of my soul. Thank you for guiding me through shadows and silence. Grant me courage to reconcile, to speak truth wrapped in love. Let your light shine through my renewed path, guiding me home. Amen.
Return to simple joys.
The fire was finally out, standing in the rain, surrounded by the smoldering remains of someone's home. The scent of burned wood mingled with the fresh aroma of rain-soaked earth. My jacket clung to my skin, a reminder of the day's battle with the flames. A child's drawing caught my eye amidst the ashes. A bright sun, a green hill, and a family holding hands, smiling. Its vibrant colors contrasted sharply with the gray desolation, a beacon of innocence. That night, sleep eluded me. Survivor guilt clawed at my spirit, and each time I closed my eyes, flames danced in the darkness. Why, Lord? I whispered into the shadows. Why them and not me? The rain tapped against my window, echoing my restless heart. The drawing's innocence stood defiantly against my turmoil, offering a glimmer of hope. What do you want from me, God? How can I find peace? Kneeling by my bedside, I prayed, Shepherd of my soul, guide me through this storm. My prayer mingled with the night sounds, a breeze rustling leaves, the old clock ticking. The child's joy flashed before me, each repetition bringing warmth, cutting through despair. It became my symbol, a beacon of hope amidst chaos. As I prayed, warmth wrapped around me like an embrace. Within my breath, a quiet assurance settled. God was with me, whispering through my distress. Return to the simple joys I sensed, a gentle guide leading me from despair. Rising from my knees, I felt renewed, a call to seek small wonders, to release burdens weighing me down. It was an invitation to trust in something greater, to rediscover life through simplicity and gratitude. God was guiding me back to a place where joy could be found in the smallest things. I awoke to a fresh morning, raindrops clung to the world, sparkling under the sun. drawing now on my table was a reminder and guidepost, its colors vibrant. Today I chose to visit the family who lost their home. Perhaps they needed to see this simple joy that survived the blaze. Driving through rain, glistening streets, I prayed again. Holy One, grant me the courage to be your vessel of peace. This was more than words, it was a commitment, a turning point. Faith outweighed doubt, my heart open to divine whispers, leading me to action. Arriving, I offered the drawing, their eyes once clouded with grief lit up. A spark of joy amidst sorrow, in their gratitude I found unexpected healing. The burdens lightened with that shared moment of connection and hope. A small miracle in tragedy. Finding joy in the everyday. Days turned into weeks, each a step forward in healing. The drawing remained a constant companion, whispering to embrace life's innocent joys. I noticed small things, the way sunlight played on leaves, a warm cup of tea in dawn's chill, children laughing in the rain, echoing the drawing's message. Through prayer and surrender, I released guilt, letting it drift away like leaves in a stream. I invited God's grace to mend what was broken. Returning to simple joys brought healing, both for me and for those around me. A journey back to grace. A journey home. Gracious Lord, guide me to embrace your joy in each day. Help me release my burdens into your hands.